Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to day 2 of our Insulating Our Homesteading Outlaw Cabin video series. So, yesterday we worked on doing the spray foam insulation in the Outlaw Cabin. We had a lot of good experiences and learnings from yesterday's project. It was my first time ever doing this. If I had to do it all over again, I would have made some changes from the very beginning. Today's video is going to be we're going to be talking about insulating with rolled insulation, specifically fiberglass. Now, whenever you are trying to decide what kind of insulation you want to use in your living space, you have multiple options. So this is a product we picked up from Ace here in town in Boonville. This is called Certainteed Saint Gobain. This is a type of fiberglass insulation, though, and it just goes on this R13. Now this is going R13 going on top of the 1 to 2 inches of spray foam that we already have on here. So I think that if I recall correctly, the spray foam has got something like a 7 to a 9, R7 to an R9 per inch rating. So that means that we're already dealing with a 7 to a 14 in some places through there. I went ahead and went a little heavier in some spots, especially if it was, again, truly outdoor facing. So we're already dealing with, a space that's already R7 or 9 above and above in many cases. So we're stacking this on top of that. So I would say minimally that means that we're looking at an R20, is the least it's going to be. And again, this hits adjacent to a conditioned space behind it. And there will be, surprise, insulation in there too. That's right. We're going to have insulation on both sides. Again, because we do not know if and when these spaces when they'll be conditioned and occupied or not. So when it's all said and done, there's another 4 inches going on the other side. So in the end, the conditioned space is going to be, somewhere in the neighborhood of what? An R26 minimal. That's if it's just the 2 sheets of this going, basically back to back, sandwiching the OSB between. All the way up to something like an R, I don't know, an R40, in some areas. So that's kind of what we're looking at here if you want to do the calculations on that. Now, obviously, that's not exact or anything else. I know that. These are just approximates. Mostly my reason for using the spray foam, as I explained yesterday, was for the air sealing properties. The fact that whenever it hits against OSB, it does tend to, the areas where OSB meets OSB specifically, this hopefully will prevent any air penetration. This will obviously help, as well with both thermal and acoustic, insulation. I've already put up a couple pieces here for reference. As you can tell, this piece here fully fills this cavity. These are 16-inch on center studs. They are 2x8 by 10s. We originally had spec'd out windows. I was going to put a window here, a window here, a window over there. Basically not one here. This is again our 16-inch void here, 14.5-inch void technically. But I was going to put a window here, a window there, a window there. So I'm going to have 3 narrow but tall windows in here was the original plan. And because we put the apartment next door, my windows went away. So I lose my windows. We pick up the addition for my father-in-law, but we lose the windows. What that means for me now is that I do have areas that are oversized for insulation. I'm going to show you how to work with that. Over here we have one that's perfect size. This is easy. All you do is put the insulation in. If you have extra, cut it off, and then you're good to go. Again, this is the top area and the primary zone that needs to definitely be insulated. Down here, I'm going to, but it is not as necessary as I've already explained. Still going to do it because to me there's benefit in doing it. But when you have an instance like this versus this, you do have to bear in mind that you're going to have to do something here. All right, and the something has got to be, you can't just have the area here, left open like this. This will not insulate. All right, it won't do any good. You do need to have, this area here filled in with insulation. Likewise, we have a narrow cavity here. We could just cram the insulation in there and squeeze it tight. That also won't work. So we can't just squeeze the insulation and stick it in here. We've got to actually cut the insulation to go in here. What that does is in these areas where we have oversized areas, we're able to use those pieces from here in those areas to backfill that. So it won't go for waste. At least I don't plan for it going to waste. We also have other areas, and there's always places you can tuck in insulation if you absolutely have to make sure that everything is nice and well insulated. So before you get started with doing insulation, first and foremost, there are some things you want to check for. Number one, making sure that you have the right tools. One thing that you're going to need is a utility knife. This is a retractable bladed utility knife. Okay, it has a thumb lever on the side, or a thumb release on the side. Let you push it open. It's catching a little bit, but that's because the blade is actually on the dull side. And that's the next thing too. This has got a little thumb release here for the blade. And there we go. Whenever you go to close it all the way. And then you can also close it this way too. That way it's nice and safe. Kids don't get into it, and get themselves cut accidentally. Number two, this is a staple gun. It loads from the back on the bottom through here, and you just feed the staples in. Usually I'll feed them in upside down like that, but you can feed them in this way, it doesn't matter. Whatever works for you. And then the catch goes in like so, locks it in place. Number three, I recommend a hammer. You're going to have times in which whenever you put the staples in, it's not going to necessarily sit as flush as you want it to. Be careful when you are hitting the staples. If you're doing this though, that you're not tearing your paper, your vapor barrier in the process. Again, you don't have to go through and do it for every single one of these staples, only for the ones that have a little bit extra lip on them. It's entirely up to you, what qualifies. Obviously, what kind of wall covering that you put on here can factor into the equation too. So those are a few things that you definitely are going to have. I also keep a couple drills handy. Whenever I am working on building, this is one that has a Phillips in it. The other one's got a T25 Torx bit in it. So whenever I'm working with these, I will go through and I will look and see, do I have any areas where there are any exposed nails, screws, etc. And I'm looking for that so that I don't cut myself, number one. And number two, so I don't get anything caught on any of my insulation. We want to try to create a relatively uniform surface. That's the goal, so that everything is nice and clean and neat and looks good. That's what we want. We want to cut out around any of our outlets. Obviously, bear in mind if you have outlets, are they energized or not? That is something to keep in mind. If they are energized, you want to de-energize them. That means you want to flip the breaker off if at all possible. I don't recommend working with live outlets on doing insulation or drywall installation. That's my advice. If you want to, you can even remove the outlets, etc. That's perfectly fine, permissible, whatever works for you. I'm going to leave that open to you. Obviously, you're going to need extra staples. And you may even want a putty knife if you've done something like what we have with this kind of stuff, just to go along here and clean up any of these areas. I'm not going to show you that on camera, that's not necessary, but you kind of get the idea. So with that said, I think I've covered most of the basics. There are also a few other things you might potentially want. Gloves. Eye protection. Eye protection is very easy to put on. There you go. If you want that, it'll protect your eyes from any of the little pieces of insulation that could potentially, get airborne. It's beneficial to wear contacts. I will be wearing this today. I think some of the stuff here has actually gotten a little airborne. It's irritated my lungs. Excuse me. So I'll be wearing this today. And all this is just a regular, simple little mask. And what it will do, these fibers can break off whenever you start moving them around. As they break off, they get airborne. They can irritate your throat and your lungs. I did eat a little snack before I came up here, though, and started working. So it could just be that getting caught in my throat, or it could be some of this stuff already irritating my throat a little bit. I am a little sensitive to it, so I don't normally wear a mask for a lot of my projects. Don't need to, because unless I'm doing something that really has a lot of airborne contaminants anyways, then I do. But otherwise, I don't. So I will be wearing this today. I'm not going to wear it right now when I'm talking because you can't hear me if I do. So those are a few other items that you might want. Might want a measuring tape. Entirely up to you. That, I think, pretty well for the most part sums most of it up. Beyond that, long sleeve shirt if you're sensitive to this material. Gloves if you're sensitive to this material. I'm not sensitive to the fiberglass. At least not on my skin anyways. So I don't have to worry about that too much. But I definitely will wear the face covering today. Got it handy, I might as well. And again, since I'll be having this stuff right in my face, I might as well go ahead and do that just to protect my lungs a little bit. Good lighting, obviously ventilation, so we'll open up the windows whenever you're ready to start. I have a box fan here that I'm going to turn on. I'll stick into the window to pull air through. That'll help a little bit as well to evacuate any of these little particles and move them out also. So I think that pretty well sums most of it up. If you have questions, obviously put them below. I'm going to go through right now. And I will start working on this, and then I'll talk a little bit throughout parts of this. And of course, I'll have to move the camera around again. My plan today, all right, I guess you say if you have to have another thing, have a plan. So my plan today is I want to start with the top part of this wall cavity. That's what I'm going to begin with, the top part. After I'm done with the top part, then I want to drop down and I'll do the bottom part. That's my plan anyways. I've already got one line, the top half done. I have part of this line done. I have this one done. It only takes a few minutes to do each one of these lines. It just doesn't take very long. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to install the insulation that goes in here, and then I will then use a utility knife to come along and score and cut that. So, with that said, I am putting on my face mask. It does have a little pinch, if you don't remember. You probably can't hear me now. Try the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now? So, what I will do while I'm up here, step ladders are really good. You do not have to choose. You can choose left or right side for doing this. Since I've already got my insulation here, I'm going to go ahead and start with it here. That way, whenever I'm cutting it, I'm not cutting into the vapor barrier on the other side. Going to the very top, as high up as I can get that. I'm unfolding the vapor barrier, the seam right here, like that, so that it overlaps the adjacent. It overlaps the adjacent piece of insulation. You can feel when you put this in place if it's making contact with the side of the stud or not. I wanted to make good contact with the side of the stud, like so. Like that. How many staples are necessary? That depends on you. You can decide that. I tend to use a few extra, but by all means do what you feel necessary to do. There we go. Now, next, open up your utility knife. I need a new blade in here. It's fine for right now. All I'm going to do is I'm going to find where this ends right here, and that's where I'm going to cut. I can use my adjacent blocking to know where that's at. I'm actually going to drop down just a little bit, about halfway between the two. That will give me a little bit of paper where I can staple to. Don't try to cut all of it necessarily at one time, all the way through. You can make a few passes, and it will come off clean if you do, like that. I may have to go get a new blade because that one certainly is giving me problems. And then what I'll do is I'll roll up that insulation a little bit there, and I have room now to staple to this. My leftover piece going over there, it will not go to waste. I will figure out a place for it, maybe in an area around the windows, around the doors, small cavities, wherever I need to backfill insulation at, I have it available to me. Out of staples. Reloading these is not that hard. Again, put them in. There you go, just like that. The other reason why I go ahead and start stapling these now is I'm kind of working my way down, so I keep going up and down the ladder. You know, that's the other thing. The more times you're up and down the ladder, the more chance you have of falling. So, as a result, I do recommend then is to do as much as you can as you're coming down. So staple, cut, staple, cut. I would highly recommend too that whenever you're doing this, you kind of plan your work a little bit, where you want to put your next part at. Like the next one over here, I could have stapled this way, do my cut this way. I won't. I will actually staple here first, come over here, go down, and then do the rest of it. Now, the next part is over here. As I said, whenever you do the next one, we'll follow the exact same pattern. We're working ourselves from left to right in this case. So we got this one, we have this one done. So now we're going to work on this cavity here, and we will be stapling first to here and then doing our excess cutoff over here. Now on this one over here, I do have The same, I do have, unlike over here where I only had one stud, I do have two studs side by side. One's actually, yeah, one's a king stud and the other one is a support stud for the header. So I can go through if I want to then and just use that line through there as my cut point. And I can just, you know, push the insulation back. By doing this, we end up with a nice fully filled void all the way from here to the top, and one that is going to hopefully prevent us from having a whole lot of air penetration. I think I just broke my mask. I gotta fix that before I can continue. Definitely need it. This stuff does get airborne, and when it does irritate your lungs. So just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and wrap things up right now. And you kind of get the gist over it. I still need to finish up the last piece over there, and then I'll come back through and do the bottom of it down there. But I don't see the point in continuing to have the hyperlapse on there, showing you the finished product all the way through step by step. What I will do though is as soon as I finish up with what I have to do over here, all of it, then I'll come back and show you the finished product. If you can tell from the video or not, I don't know, but through here, what I did, since we have an overlap or a long, a wide cavity here and a narrow cavity here, what I did was I split the insulation down the middle and then folded it open and went ahead and went down both sides of that stud. So that way I have a continuous wide piece, because it's the exact same size I need, the exact size I needed to fill this void over on both sides, and it allowed me to use one sheet as opposed to trying to, again, sandwich in one of these cut pieces into that gap. So it worked a lot better doing that for this particular piece. I don't think I could have done that. Yeah, really, maybe I could have done it over here in this other gap. Instead of using two pieces, I probably could have just used one if I had been thinking that through, but didn't dawn on me until I was already over here anyways, and decided, you know what, it's perfect size. I folded it over and it fit great, so all I had to do was just go down the back side of it and just cut it, peel it open, and then just fold it over to where it makes contact with both sides of that stud all the way up. And then now I can staple here, and I can staple to the stud in the middle of it. I have to come back with some tape, tape that corner, this piece over here. I'll do that, and then once I do the tape, then we'll be ready, of course, once I finish the rest of it, we'll be ready to do the sheetrock tomorrow. Be going to the local place here in town tomorrow morning and picking up the sheetrock for this wall and for the other wall over here. And if all goes well, then we'll have all the sheetrock work done on 3 walls. Well, it's finished. We now have all of the insulation up at this point. We have, of course, the spray foam that we put up, and now our Rolled insulation is in place. So we're pretty well, set to go. Now I do have one little spot down here that's related to electrical connections that I still have to do that I will come back and do later. Well, what I'm gonna do right now is take a little bit of a break. The insulation, even though I was wearing a mask there for most of the work, it was starting to irritate me a little bit. I think these fibers get airborne, and whenever they do, you rebreathe them in. So I do recommend at least wearing a dust mask or something on your face. So I'm also going to open up the windows now at this point, and actually, first and foremost, I'm going to sweep. So I'll clean up in here, sweep, and then we'll go through and open up all the windows and let all of this, all these things kind of settle down a little bit. Probably put one of the fans into the windows just so that it can help to ventilate it through here a little bit better as well while we go and pick up our sheetrock. Then whenever I get back, we are going to work on siding a little bit up on the second level, the area over the apartment. Try to get that area sided. And then once that's completed, I'll be back in here the rest of the night working on doing the sheetrock, the drywall installation. And I think I should be able to get all that knocked out today. I hope. It's a lot to knock out, I know, but we're going to try and knock all that out today. And at least the siding and hopefully at least one of the walls. If I can get at least one of the walls done today, then the other one will be pretty easy to knock out tomorrow. And of course, at that point, it's just a matter of going through and getting the stuff to do the joint compound. I already have plenty of tape, I think. If not, we'll pick up an extra roll of tape for doing the drywall mudding. And then we'll be working on doing drywall mudding in the afternoon tomorrow. All right, that's it. Stay tuned. We'll show you the, actually, you know what? No, that is it. So for this part of our video for insulation, I guess this wraps it up. So if you have ideas, by all means, shoot them into the comment section below. Thank you very much. As always, God bless, and we'll catch you next time.